From Kiev, Russia, Colonel Ninachka.
Ninotchka's superior, you know it so, because I am the champion of G.L.O.W. No one girl can escape my pin, because Russians always win. Tina Ferrari, the capitalist dream. She won't look so good face down in the ring. She thinks she's so sexy and so very strong. I will destroy her. It won't take long.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Mike Grant Show. And today's special guest, we are having her back. She's from G.L.O.W, the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. Please welcome Ninachka. Hey, Ninachka, how are you?
Hello, America. I know you have been waiting impatiently for more of Ninotchka. So finally today, we can bring you the rest of the story.
Yes, so for anybody who doesn't know that hasn't been watching, why haven't you been watching first off? But we had Ninachka on our show. She talked to us about seasons 1 and 2 of G.L.O.W. So we're going to continue this conversation where she's going to tell us about season 3 and 4. So where we left off last time when we were on the show, Ninachka, is we discussed how there was a division at the end of season 2 and 3, where some of the girls left, they went over to POW, Powerful Women of Wrestling, and some stayed. So the ones who stayed with G.L.O.W were you, Mountain Fiji, and Hollywood. And then they brought back Sally, the farmer's daughter. Now in
and Susie Spirit.
and
Susie Spirit.
And Susie Spirit, she was there in Susie and Tara were there like in the matches like on tour, but in the actual season 3 though they weren't in there.
Right. You're right.
Yeah, and then Debbie went behind the scenes, correct?
Yes, Debbie Debutante was with me, the trainer. She was an amazing trainer because, of course, she was like this incredible gymnast and dancer. And so she was, I was actually a little intimidated because I thought she was a better trainer than me at times. So,
and then
yeah,
also
very grateful for her.
So also, so there was a little tour in between there. Also, I did want to mention too, I forgot Vine was also on that tour. And then Vine filmed, she had one episode in the later seasons, and then the little Fiji came back for one episode. But then other than that, really the main on-screen ones were you, Hollywood, Mount Fiji, and Sally, the farmer's daughter. So I want to ask you about, you had said it in the previous episode when you were on here, but just to reiterate, you did train season 3 and 4, the bad girls, correct? And then did Debbie train the good girls?
That's correct. And I just wanted to throw in one thing about Vine. When Vine came back, she too had totally transformed her body. Oh my God, the girl was just, she had the most beautiful sculpted arms, and it was like, whoa, Vine really grew up. But she was amazing. Wish she had stayed longer.
Yep, and if Vine is watching, we're looking for Vine as well. We'd love to have Vine on this show.
Everybody is looking for Vine.
So Vine, wherever you are, if anybody knows where Vine is, reach out to us so we can see if we can get a hold of her. But yeah, so you guys trained in the beginning, so a whole new crop of girls. Now I want to know, out of those crop of girls, the new ones that you saw, was there any girl that in the beginning maybe surprised you with her determination, that you thought maybe, I don't know if this one can make it as a wrestler, but they proved you wrong and really put in that work and proved that they were a great wrestler?
Definitely MTV, Melody Trouble Vixen. She was like so skinny and scrawny, but she wanted it so bad, and she was fearless. And she just went on to do great things. I mean, people like Beastie, when Beastie showed up, you knew she was going to be great. Daisy, formidable, you knew she was going to be great. But yeah, I think MTV was fun because to watch her grow.
So when we, the viewers, came back, we had a whole new set of girls. with just those couple that we knew. One of the girls that did come back was Sally, the farmer's daughter from season 1. She had rejoined the show. What are your memories of Sally, the farmer's daughter?
Sally was always just so much fun. And again, she was tough. I mean, she was a scrapper. She was small, and she was thin, but I mean, she was strong enough to have like milked 100 cows that day. She was okay. So why am I all blurry? Can you see me okay?
Yep, I see you okay now.
Okay. I don't know what happened. All right.
Yeah, so Sally had come back. Do you know, because I know she was probably with modeling and acting. Do you know why she had left? Was that the reason in between there?
Um, I think it could be some personal problems that I don't really know about, and unfortunately, we've lost her now, and we miss her very much. So
Yeah, and she was definitely a fan favorite. I definitely loved Sally the Farmer's Daughter. Her and Hollywood matches were one of my favorite matches to watch. Those two in the ring, just I mean, they brought the energy, just like when it was you and Americana, you and Tina Ferrari. So those were some of the best matches. So she was your first match that aired on that first debut episode. Fan favorite Sally comes back, and fought you for the crown. And unfortunately, Sally lost for her sake, unfortunately. And Ninachka started going through the ranks of every new girl because there was no older girl to go against. So it was all
I
new
know.
girls.
Okay, Ricky, wait, hang on one sec. I gotta get rid of this dog. Ricky, go ahead. Sorry about that. Yeah, okay, so I'm just gonna toot my own horn a little bit here. It was kind of slim pickings. A lot of them were new. I kind of bulldozed over a lot of them.
Yep.
But I tell you what, going back, because Americana and Tina Ferrari really pushed me to the limits and made me be a stronger wrestler. But I also think it was a little intimidating. Here I am there. Like I never had to wrestle Royal Hawaiian because I would have been completely intimidated because she was my trainer. So I think with a lot of the new girls too, it's like, oh, Ninotchka's our trainer, and now and she's the champion, and yeah. So I beat him up pretty good.
Yep. So some of the people that you faced both group of farmers' daughters, the Park Avenue Knockouts, the cheerleaders, Justice, Daisy. So you've battled all those people for the G.L.O.W crown. And we're going to talk about some of the matches that you had in there. So how was it like wrestling Justice? Because that was United States versus Russia.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people were disappointed that I won because people were really rooting for Justice. And again, she was so tall and long-limbed, and if there had been a season 5, she probably would have kicked my ass.
And then you also faced the new farmer's daughter, Babe, the farmer's daughter. So what is your memories of Babe?
Okay, so Babe Ursula, love her. She's absolutely beautiful, but she was physically the tiniest of the 3 farmers' daughters. So I kind of had my way with her. Girl knows how to fall, though.
And then you had a new group of cheerleaders, Vicky Victory and Cheyenne Cher, that you both faced as well. And they were very acrobatic in the ring. So what was it like doing matches with them, with you coming from the dancing background and your background as well? How did you choreograph those matches?
I really loved working with both of them. Again, they were, the season 3 and 4 girls. There were two elements that were to me very striking. First of all these girls that came in season 3 and 4 had seen G.L.O.W on the air. I mean, when we did 1 and 2, we had no idea what G.L.O.W was going to be. So these were people that had watched the show and really wanted to be a part of it. So they were like so eager, you know, to I want to be like this person and that person. And, you know, they were fans of the show. But they really had to ramp it up very quickly. We had a very short training period. It wasn't as long as seasons 1 and 2. There wasn't as much time in development. Now they were better equipped because they knew what the show was. And they were very quick to find where they wanted their place. I mean, they knew before they got off the bus where they wanted to be in Glow. But it was different. It was very fast.
And now when season 3 and 4, you know, you guys were in there, you came back, but you also brought somebody with you, and that was a tag team partner from Leningrad.
Are you speaking of my comrade Tanya?
Yes. So can you tell us about Major Tanya and why that character was brought into the scene? Why all of a sudden Ninotchka had a tag team partner?
First of all, Noelle Rose, she put me to shame in the fact that the first week she was there, she was already spitting out Russian phrases. And I was like, oh, I've been in Ninotchka for years, and you know more Russian than I do. But mostly it was brought on because I really wanted to become a babyface. I wanted to, you know, show a little bit more of my acrobatics and my dancing, which when Ninotchka moved to Paris, you know, that's when you started me doing the backflips off the turnbuckles, and I was just a little bit freer. So I'm forgive me if I'm incorrect about this, but I basically think Tanya was brought in so that I could transition because the Russian character was so strong. And what I love about Tanya is that, I mean, we had the same costume, but she really brought her own flavor to it. Like there was Ninotchka and there was Tanya. And even though we were dressed alike, we were very different. And I think that probably was very hard for her, but she just she rolled with it. I mean, she just from day one she came in with total confidence and I think she did an excellent job.
And when you two were teamed up together, you went through a bunch of opponents as well. So we're going to talk about a couple of them. So one of the matches was against Thunderbolt and Lightning, the superheroes, who were undefeated until their match against you. Can you tell us what it was like working with Thunderbolt and Lightning in the ring?
They are both absolutely adorable people, and they're like flitting little flies. Like you gotta quick catch them. Lightning is still, as you know, she's a stunt woman. She's I don't think I gave her credit for how athletic and strong she is. But they were just so much fun to work with. But I think we pulverized them pretty good.
And then in the ring, you did have, again, Sally and Babe, the farmer's daughters, team up against you. Any memories of when you had the two of them in the ring at the same time, how that was like?
Well, that was really fun because, you know, I look back on the pictures, like there's one promo shot of the two of them kind of back to back looking over their shoulders at each other. And I mean, they were both so beautiful. I mean, Babe was more like beautiful, beautiful, and Sally was just so effervescent. Um, you and the fans just loved all three of the farmers' daughters. So you were always the bad guy when you were showing them who's in charge.
And then your big match, your big match against Liberty and Justice, the Americans.
Mm-hmm. That was because I was so close with Americana, it was hard for me wrestling Liberty just because I didn't connect with her very much. I think Justice more, because Justice was like new and fresh. I mean, her character was different. And even though Liberty and Americana were very different, they were kind of like, it was obvious, oh, here's Liberty to replace Americana. So it just wasn't, I hate to say this, please forgive me, but I'm trying to be honest, it wasn't a very memorable match. Although on tour, it was very memorable when Liberty tried to kill me with a flagpole. It was supposed to break over my back, and she kept hitting me over the back, and it wouldn't break. So then she hit me in the head with it, and it broke. Good thing I have a thick skull.
Oh boy. Well, there's no footage of that I know of out there. So at least.
No, it was on tour.
Oh, yep. Okay. And then, there was a tag team elimination match in that season as well, which the Russians lost. They got eliminated. And
we were cheated.
And the superheroes won that match.
I know. Like, is that crazy? That's not possible. But actually, they were sneaky. They were great flyers. They were fast. But yeah, we were robbed on that one. There's no way Tanya and I should have lost that.
And then also there was a famous battle royal where Mountain Fiji picked up MTV and threw her out of the ring. And you were one of the final ones in there. It was you, Daisy, Broadway Rose, and MTV. Final four up against Mount Fiji. Can you tell us what it was like in those final moments of that battle royal?
Well, first, I always remember Fiji and having MTV over her head, because that was the cover of the first G.L.O.W magazine. So I just always picture that. Fiji was so again formidable. The only time you got her out of the ring earlier on was because she was going to protect little Fiji. But I'm sorry, I think I missed your question. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Yep, what it was like in the final moments there of the match of that battle royal where it was you, Broadway Rose, MTV, Daisy against Mountain Fiji.
Chaos. You got to help me out here.
Because then it's just like the four of you have to figure out how to get rid of the mountain. And she just tossed,
because the mountain never leaves her feet.
Yeah, I mean, she just literally tossed each one of you one by one out of the ring till finally she picked up MTV.
Yeah, I miss Broadway Rose. She was really wonderful. I loved watching her and Hollywood work together. That was really fun.
And then another person that you wrestled was Daisy.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yep.
This is why I don't remember this too well. Mountain Fiji picks me up and throws me out of the ring, right? I fell on the corner, my butt from midair, my butt on the corner. I had the biggest bruise, and the biggest, darkest, ugliest bruise for weeks after that. And when I hit, I was just like, holy crap, what just happened? That was the worst pain I felt in G.L.O.W.
And then basically you faced Daisy, and this was for the G.L.O.W crown. Now, during that match, Tanya came in because she felt you needed a little bit of assistance.
Yeah.
And interfered in that match. So
yeah, that really upset me. She should have had a little more confidence in me than that. But that's really what started the rift between us.
Yeah, and then during that match,
I was her superior. I was the colonel. And she was Major Tanya. I was Colonel Ninotchka. She had no right to interfere.
And then when she interfered, what did you do with the crown that day?
Well, didn't I win it?
You won it, but you abdicated your crown.
Right.
And you made an announcement about where you were going to live?
At that point, the G.L.O.W crown had been moved around so much. I just felt it was time for a new chapter. And I had so many times of like, I won the crown, they took it from me, I won it back, it took it from me. And I was just like, that I'm going to Paris. I'm going to Paris, and I'm going to really delve into my love of costume design and art. And it was time for a new chapter.
So then you became babyface, and there was
Mhm.
a tournament called the Run for the Rubies where
Yes.
20 girls competed for your crown. They did a series of matches till finally at the end it was Cheyenne, Cher, and Godiva, and Cheyenne Cher had won the crown. Now, during this, when you turned babyface, obviously there was no more easy as KGB skits there.
Right.
So those unfortunately had to go away. But it was kind of interesting because you did change your outfit that last season for the Easy as KGB, where it almost seemed like you were starting to look like your Paris character too. But then you became babyface, and what I want to know is which was easier for you to play, babyface or heel?
Well, the funny thing is, it seems like every baby face wants to be a heel, and every heel wants to be a baby face. And so I wanted it so bad. I wanted to be a baby face so bad, but I actually was more of a heel. Now, I recently was listening to the matches. Usually, I mean, I have to say, I just loved watching myself in the ring, and I thought I was so fabulous. I was not listening to the commentator because, I mean, I was used to battling David McLean all these times. Now, the voiceover was put in afterwards. So I don't even know who that person is, but believe me, I'm going to find him and hunt him down. How many little Miss Piggy comments can he make? He was really rude about the things he said about me. And calling me fat and calling me all these horrible things. Now, I was the same weight I was, but I look back now, I wasn't the most flattering costume. It was definitely more flattering, the black tights and the unitard, but I'm gonna find that guy because I'm really upset with him. I don't even know who he is,
And so
but I
he
bet you do.
Motormouth Mike Morgan, which I am not. For anybody who asked, I've had a couple people ask, "Are you Motormouth?" I'm like, I'm not Motormouth Mike Morgan. Like people like Mike, I'm like, no, I'm not Motormouth. Some G.L.O.W fans have asked me that in the past if that was me. I'm like, no, that's not me.
Well, he is very rude.
Yeah.
He's very rude, and I'm gonna track him down.
And how he didn't stick with you when you were a baby face and stuck
Right.
with the heel during all the commentary, which I found very interesting, and then
I
traded insults at you during every time you wrestled, which was ridiculous.
and I have no idea why.
Yeah,
Traitor.
that's just ridiculous. And then you had no rap as well. No rap for your good girl character. Any particular reason why you can think of?
No, I just think that at that point, so much was going on, and like I say, things went um, so quickly. We had a joke in the first. I hate to keep going back to season 1 and 2, but so we had the nasty and mean for the bad girls, and we had good girls don't for the baby faces. They spent weeks and weeks and weeks filming that. And believe me, that choreography was not hard. I really think it was like everybody just like seeing the girls in the bathing suits. Okay. But my point was 3 and 4, everything was just really sped up and there wasn't time. Doing the G.L.O.W rap, having all the girls in the ring was a big setup, and it took a lot. And I just think that that time had passed, that had already been done before I turned. So there just kind of wasn't an opportunity for me to do the raps, which, you know, I think I'm just going to have to do them on my own, and and post them, because I think the world is missing the French Parisian Ninotchka rap.
Yes, we definitely want to see that. And you faced many of your old friends when you became a babyface as well. So you had
Wasn't that interesting?
many matches. So I'm going to name you some of the opponents and we'll go back and talk about them. You faced Hollywood, Godiva, MTV, Stinky, Star, Daisy, Major Tanya, The Widow. So all these different characters you faced. The first one I'm going to ask you about was, how was it like wrestling Hollywood? So you and Hollywood were there from the beginning, you know, since the first season, and now you two have to face each other.
That was so strange. The thing is, now I didn't really as a heel, like, I didn't tag team with Hollywood and Vine. I didn't wrestle with Hollywood, but it's kind of like you know each other's style, you know each other's. She's my sister. Like, it just, with Hollywood, it was really weird. It just did not feel right. There was like nothing I could do that would feel right about wrestling Hollywood.
And you had a match against Godiva, which Tanya interfered in. How was that like, wrestling Godiva?
Well, Godiva, again, a gymnast, strong as hell. I mean, the best weapon was grabbing her hair, but she has tough hair. I mean, her hair is absolutely gorgeous, and she had long hair like that her whole life. So I guess she was used to the boys in school grabbing her hair and pulling her ponytail. It didn't seem to bother her too much. She was tough. Now with Godiva, I hadn't known her that long, and she was so beautiful. I mean, she was a heel, but she's pretty enough to be a baby face. So that kind of felt like just a good matchup, evenly matched. And
then
that didn't feel weird.
And MTV.
Wow, MTV is a love bug. My most difficult, everybody knows, the superplex that I did with MTV. That was one of the highlights of my G.L.O.W career.
And then a match which some fans are not happy about because you lost this match twice, which I still don't understand, is The Widow. What are your memories of that?
Well, obviously, I try and blot it out of my mind, because I agree with you. I never should have lost those matches. You know, I never had this feeling before, but after like listening to these matches and seeing how vicious Motor Mike was against me, and maybe they had it in for me. Maybe the people of G.L.O.W were trying to get rid of me, and I just didn't realize it.
And then
I was treated unfairly there at the end.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And then Major Tanya, when you finally had to go up against her. So you had a couple matches. The first match was a double disqualification, both of you out of the ring. And then the second match, you beat the count outside of the ring by like 1 or 2 seconds. You just made it back into the ring. What are your thoughts on those matches? And did you feel that your rivalry with Tanya, that's the way it should have ended, or if you guys could have really had another bigger and better match if the show had stayed on the air?
Honestly, looking back, and if I kind of could write like the next chapter, would have been Tanya and I becoming tag team partners again. I think if we really had some time to really train together, I think we could have grown to the best tag team partnership of all time.
Because definitely, you know, it was good matches, but neither one of you got the pin ever, which kind of, you know, for us, the viewers, we were hoping one of you would get the pin, and it never ever took place in that rivalry. And then you
Well,
did.
that was kind of hard. That was kind of hard because I really think we were so much better as partners than against each other.
And then your matches against Daisy. So you did go against Daisy again in season 4, where you two both pinned each other, and it was a draw, no clear cut winner. And then later on, when G.L.O.W left the air, there was a 1993 pay-per-view where Ninotchka returned in a green outfit, long brown hair, and wanted her crown back because at that point Daisy was the champion and you two faced each other. So can you tell us a little bit about that, if you can remember coming back for that, and you know, the whole new outfit, long hair and everything?
Well, you know what's funny about that, obviously a lot of time had passed. What did you say, 93? Was that 93?
Yeah, that was 93.
So that's why, because when I was watching that match, honestly, sometimes the chronological thing, I didn't realize that. And I was like, where the hell did all that hair come from? But that was my natural hair. So obviously there was some years past and I had grown it out. Now, the funny thing about that green outfit was it was originally made for Jungle Woman. And they went a different direction. She was like a black cat and she had that fabulous black outfit. But so that outfit had always kind of been there. And I didn't want to come out in the pink because also Daisy was kind of pink. You know what? I think it was just as simple as that costume had been there for so many years. And I was like, let me put her on. So. But it was weird. It was so weird when I look back at it. I'm like, I don't remember wrestling with long hair like that. but that's how I walked into G.L.O.W. Earlier, I had said about, you know, when I was in training and I cut my hair like this, but that long brown hair, that was my hair. And I started training just like that. And then the next day came in like this. And that's when I had told you previously, nobody recognized me. So.
And there was also, we forgot to mention, in between the seasons, when David McLean left, Johnny C came on board. What are your memories of Johnny C?
We loved Johnny C. Johnny C was great. He was a firecracker. I mean, unlimited energy. Energy, 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 energy. I think we were all really hard on him because we beat up David McLean pretty good too, but David McLean was our boss. So there was that line. And Johnny C, we could just beat the crap out of him, but he was wonderful. And energy, 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 energy. He was nonstop.
And there was also a battle royal in season 4 that I want to ask you about that you were not in. And I was wondering why, if you happen to know, the one that Tulsa won. Any ideas, remember at all why Ninachka? Because Ninachka was in all of them except that one.
Yeah, because I would have beat Tulsa.
Yeah, because at that point you were a good girl and you just, I don't know, they just didn't have you in that battle royal for some reason.
Well, I think because it would have been hard for me not to lose that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then also a lot of
just like in season 1 when Americana wasn't in that battle royal.
Yeah, because Americana, she decided not to show up for battle royals magically, and Susie Spirit, very interesting there.
Yeah.
And then another thing that took place too was, you know, the matches were not aired in order for some reason during 3 and 4. It seemed like it was a little, they made their own kind of storyline, because sometimes you could notice somebody, let's say like Hollywood, or hair color, or Vicky Victory, their hair colors are different from one week to the next. Any idea why a lot of those matches were aired a little more out of order during the later years?
Well, because season 1 and 2 were shot together nonstop. Season 3 and 4, same thing. They were just all shot together. You know, there wasn't, oh, we did season 3 and then took a break and came back for 4. So over whatever period of time it was, both seasons are shot at the same time. So I think then they go in the editing room and, you know, I don't know why they would pick certain things at certain times. I don't know, but I do know it was all shot continuously.
Do you remember what, besides obviously the pay-per-view, when G.L.O.W ended for you, do you remember what your very last match that you did was?
No, I don't, because we all thought G.L.O.W was coming back. So you didn't have that feeling of it being final. I know that I remember doing we went to Hawaii and did a live event that wasn't taped. And then, so the pay-per-view had to be the last thing that I did.
Do you remember, as far as, because you weren't in Life in the G.L.O.W House sketches, do you know if you were asked to participate in that sketch?
I was not. Okay. And no, nothing bad about that. It's just they were trying to highlight those other girls. Yeah.
Yep. Out of all the matches you've had, seasons 1 and 2, 3 and 4, any one particular match that you just love?
You know, I love them all. Like, you can't, there isn't a match that I say, oh God, that was the worst match I ever did. I think probably the Texas Barroom Brawl, just because that was just so iconic and fun. And maybe because it was one of a kind, where, you know, with Americana and Tina, it was not just one match. Like, it was an ongoing thing. And Daisy, I wrestled a few times, and Tanya, and but I don't know. People normally remember me most for the Texas Barroom Brawl. But I enjoyed doing all the matches, and there wasn't any one girl that I disliked or that I didn't want to work with in G.L.O.W.
Is there any girl that you never got to wrestle that you would have loved to get into the ring with?
No.
Okay. And is there any match that you would have liked to see anybody, like any characters that you didn't see them wrestle, but you thought this would have been a good match?
Well, I think they did a pretty good job of really mixing it up and everybody wrestling everybody. I don't see, in my mind, I don't see like a big miss anywhere.
If you didn't get to play Ninotchka and you got to be any other G.L.O.W girl, is there one particular character that you looked at and said, not like I'm saying that you would have done a better job than, and you know, the girl who portrayed her, but you were like, God, I would have loved to have just been this.
Well, I was always jealous. I was always jealous of the cheerleaders. You know, I was always like, well, they get to do all this stuff. Yeah, so probably would have been them.
Okay. And then also, some of the things that did take place towards the end of the run as well was G.L.O.W had a 900 number. What do you know about the 900 number that the fans could call in? Did you have any part in that or anything?
You know, when that stuff started happening, that was like, we were already kind of broken up. I do vaguely remember being called in to do some voiceovers. I think I did some for that, but it wasn't like live calls. It was recorded messages as far as I can remember.
Okay. And then another thing that you participated in as well was Card Sharks with Bob Eubanks, where they lifted Mount Fiji lifted Bob Eubanks up.
Yeah.
Do you have any memories of Card Sharks?
Yeah, that was just so natural. But I was just looking at that, and like people were. I mean, there were 5 of us that raised our hands that said we could lift you up over our head, which was absolutely true. Because one fun thing is after I left G.L.O.W and I moved to LA, one of the ways that I was able to like earn some money was Queenie and I did slamograms. You know, we'd show up to a birthday party and we'd pick the guy up over the head and spin him around, and it was a slamogram. So I was very confident that I can lift at that time. I could lift a big, huge guy up over my head, no problem.
And then after G.L.O.W, you wrestled for a little bit, correct? In a couple different organizations. What did you do after G.L.O.W?
I only did a couple of matches, and oh my gosh, I cannot remember her name. That's really terrible. But I just I hooked up with her in LA, and I was kind of like her training partner. So then I just wrestled a couple matches with her to kind of get her going. Mimi the Magnificent.
Yep. And then
so I wasn't really pursuing. I was in
okay.
LA. I was going to become a famous actress, and I was working at Ed DeBevick's, a 50s diner, with Beastie. Beastie got me that job, and we'd sing and dance, and it was really fun and great. But then, you know, you're always a starving artist in LA, so I just tried to pick up some extra cash wherever I could. So that was that was that. I wasn't really trying to pursue wrestling at that time.
So then many years pass. G.L.O.W is now then out of your life. And then all of a sudden in 2012, everyone reunited for a documentary, for a G.L.O.W documentary.
Right.
You know, one of the things in that documentary was everyone gathered around for Mountain Fiji as well. Can you tell us what it was like?
I wasn't there for that. I'm so sorry.
Okay, but you did.
Two of my biggest regrets is I wasn't there for Fiji, and I wasn't there for Big Bad Mama, who was a dear, dear friend of mine during the G.L.O.W years.
Yes, you did get to sit down and talk to the producers, though, for the documentary.
Yes, I did.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, you know, I at that time I was going through a lot. My mother had multiple strokes, and she became paralyzed, and I kept her at home, which was probably a mistake. But she was extremely heavy set, and like in the hospital they would only move her with a Hoyer lift, which she would scream. And I, having been a wrestler, my mom was like 250 pounds. I was the only one that could just like pick her up in a bear hug and transfer her to a chair. She had to be transferred several times a day, and I could do that without, you know, strapping her legs and hoisting her up on a hoist. So I brought her home. So it was just a very dark time for me. It was a very hard time. So I just had been out of the picture for a long time. But during that time, they were really trying to get around Fiji, because she was ill. And I feel so bad because, like, I still haven't seen my dear friend Americana all these years, Tina Ferrari. Doing the documentary, I actually was only in the room with Angelina and Little Egypt and then the producers. And I was like one of the last ones to film because they had been asking me, and I was just like, no, no, no. Part of it is you're embarrassed, you're old, you know, you feel so old and ugly, and you don't want your fans to see you that way. And part of it was just a really hard time. And I think they were after me for over a year. I was one of the first ones they wanted to use, and I ended up being one of the last ones.
And then after the documentary, a few more years pass, and G.L.O.W Netflix comes out.
Right.
Where
Well, what was funny about that is I didn't know about it because I didn't have Netflix, right? So I had people like out of the blue texting me and like, did you really sleep with a married man? And I was like, what are you talking about? And then that's when I found out that the show came in, and no, I didn't sleep with a married man or any of the other girls' husbands. That it's a docudrama, so it's kind of like loosely based on us, but not at all. And as a matter of fact, I had an interview. I was actually in the newspaper here in Las Vegas. I was on the cover with and Allison Brie. I mean, our pictures side by side, talking about the new G.L.O.W, the old G.L.O.W, and the Netflix had great writers from Orange is the New Black, and they mentioned in the article that they thought Ninotchka was such a strong character that they purposely like tried to not watch my footage because they wanted Allison Brie to find her own character. But that was a huge compliment that they said that they thought I did such a great job.
how much of the G.L.O.W Netflix have you seen, and what were your thoughts when you saw your character coming to life there, portrayed by Allison?
Well, I really enjoyed the Netflix, and I feel like there was a lot of the spirit, the fun of G.L.O.W, but none of it was like, it wasn't really authentically us. Like, it was just such a mashup, but it wasn't authentic except for like the feeling. Like I felt like when I watched the G.L.O.W Netflix, I felt like I didn't feel like any character was 100% a G.L.O.W girl, but any of them could have been, you know. Like I love Britannia. I thought she was awesome.
Yeah, that mashup of Zelda and Godiva's characters, that definitely was a good character on there.
Awesome. I loved that. Yeah.
Now, are you still recognized by fans today when you go out in public?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I've shied away from the whole G.L.O.W thing, which I apologize. And now like I'm back and I'll try and do anything that I can. But it was so funny. I was out with Royal Hawaiian just like a week ago. And like this, I don't feel my age. Like I don't think about age so much. So these like handsome, mature men were coming up to me being like, oh, you were my G.L.O.W crush when I was 12. And you're like, oh my gosh. I didn't think I was that old, but it's a compliment anyway.
Okay, so now
it's amazing that it's that the legacy that it's had. I always say if we hadn't splintered off, I think there'd be a lot more chapters about G.L.O.W.
Yep. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna play the lightning round, where I'm gonna ask you a couple things and you tell me which one you prefer, okay?
Okay.
So would you prefer a big party or a small party?
Small party.
Paper or plastic?
Paper.
Comedy or drama?
Comedy.
Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think I gotta go with Donald.
Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Early. I used to be a night owl. Now I've completely turned around. I'm an early bird.
Dogs or cats?
I have both on my bed right now as we're talking, so I cannot answer that.
Okay, and what type of dog do you have for the
Well,
family?
my adorable little Ricky is like Pug, Chihuahua, Shar-Pei, Dotson. He's a mess.
Would you prefer the slot machines or roulette?
Slot machines.
Baseball or basketball?
Basketball.
Better 80s icon, Madonna or Cyndi Lauper?
Madonna.
Star
I love
Search,
Cyndi.
Star
I'm sorry, go
Search
ahead.
or Solid Gold?
Solid gold.
Staples or paper clips?
Paper clips.
Who, if Ninotchka were to get in trouble in America, would she rather go up against a judge or a jury?
Oh, baby, a jury. I'd have them eating out of the palm of my hands. Are you kidding me?
All right. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Ninachka. We had a great time. Now I want you, what do you want to say to the fans, all the fans who are watching? What is your message for them today?
Oh, we love you so much. And it was such an honor to be part of G.L.O.W. and that you, that it meant something to you. I think there's so many people, like growing up, I know TV shows I watched as a kid, like Gilligan's Island. It'd be like, oh, Gilligan's Island. You know, it's part of your life. It was part of what you grew up with. And it's just, I feel so blessed to be a part of that. And anybody who would like to touch base with me, I'd love to hear your G.L.O.W. stories.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We had an awesome time. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll talk to you all soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Hey, Mike, what, did we forget something? Oh, Vladimir, why are you calling me so early in the morning? What is wrong? You heard Americans moonwalking in outer space? How can this be? You just watch Dancing with the Stars? Vladimir, you're a still idiot. Time cannot change that.